are some primary sourcing methods for you to familiarize yourself with and to really develop that deep knowledge in. The first one is the mother of all property finding deal source. That is the MLS. Of course, for the MLS, you will need access to a realtor. And this tool is best for traditional home sales. These properties are often move-in ready. These are usually listed at or near market price, right? So this is now, you can find deals on the MLS, but we have to be very honest. Those deals come with a caveat compared to what you would find if you were looking at off-market properties. But I will give you my 2 cents on the MLS versus off-market properties here in just a little bit. The second source will be off-market deals. Think of these as you put in a lot of work to find what we call hidden gems, right? You're looking for vacant, rundown, distressed properties. This is where I am going to have to bring in that disclaimer. The real estate industry has changed, okay? And that's just the reality of real estate. Real estate ebbs and flows. It goes up and it goes down. Around 2008, off-market deals, hidden gems were all over the place. Today, the game has changed. We have to change. I have found some great deals on the MLS that weren't as good as vacant properties. For everything, there's a good and there's bad. When you use the MLS, you can get conventional financing like FHA, conventional loans, DSCR, etc. We'll link a video up here on real estate financing. But when you get off-market deals, let's be very honest, these are often hard to find because they are crappy. They tend to not be in the best neighborhoods. They tend to be really dilapidated. 10 years ago, sometimes between 2008, around the crash, and 2020, like 2018, right? Those were the golden age of this particular deal source. But today, honey, even those broken down homes are on the MLS because the market has just gone up so much. There is demand versus available houses on the market is highly skewed. So even that dilapidated house is gone. Okay, this doesn't mean that deals are not there, but what defines a deal in 2025 is very different from what defined it in 2008. I will not be the person who will come here and bullshit you. No, I won't be that person. It is harder to find these off-market properties. So there are two ways that people traditionally find off-market deals. There's driving for dollars, which I do not recommend. For us women in corporate America, I better not find you going out there in your car and driving for freaking dollars. Your time is way too valuable. You will not be doing that. The second way to find off-market deals is by networking. So this is where you're letting friends, agents, contractors know that you are buying. And these deals will often come by word of mouth, right? Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody wants to get rid of their house, and they'll reach out to you. You guys make a deal together. But here's the truth. Today, in the 21st century of 2025, not 2008, but 2025, even these word of mouth deals are still comparable to what's happening on the market. A lot of people who preach off-market deals and all of these real estate strategies are people who lived in the 90s when the internet didn't exist. So people, unless you had a realtor, you really weren't sure what the true market value of your property was. So you could go into some unsophisticated person in random neighborhood and bully them into selling you their property $100,000 below market value. Today, they can Google it for 2 seconds and know that the property next to them was sold for X amount. Right? We can't fool people in the same way that we fooled them 20, 30, 40 years ago. Today, you have to be a little bit more strategic, and you have to be willing to buy certain properties at a deal that back then would have been considered an okay or a bad deal, but for this market will actually be a good deal. Wholesalers and middlemen. So we talked about the MLS, we talked about off-market deals. Another way to find deals and opportunity is with wholesalers, or quote unquote the middlemen, as we call them, right? These are the people who will be driving for dollars and bringing deals to you. These people will find off market deals and then they will assign them to you as the investor with a fee. But even with that fee, this property would still be a discounted property. And this would be important because what's the point of having a middleman who you are paying an assignment fee if that property you can easily find on the MLS for free? So often the people who are wholesalers, they've been doing it for a long time. They are sophisticated. They've built a big email list of investors and potential sellers. They spend their days scavenging cheap, dilapidated homes. If you're somebody who invests and who wants those types of deals, absolutely, you need to be having connections with wholesalers. And the best way to connect with them is through networking at your local real estate investment organization. A fourth source for finding deals is real estate auctions. These are homes that are sold to the highest bidders, and this was once again very popular after the 2008 crash. So many homes were foreclosed on because people bought homes that they couldn't afford. So the bank will repossess those properties, and now that gives you the opportunity to go to a real estate auction and then bid on those properties. This is a great way to build your portfolio. There are pros and cons because you are sometimes buying these properties without doing any due diligence. You do have some time to do some due diligence, but not in the same way as if you were buying a conventional loan. And there are ways that you can go bid for these homes and then go through a conventional process so you can finance the property. But a lot of people who are doing these types of deals, these are big time investors who are bringing in the cash. So when it comes to real estate auctions, foreclosures are one. The second one are tax lien. These are properties that have unpaid taxes. So you go and you usually try to purchase. And for these types of properties with tax lien, they would sometimes or almost always require full cash payment. And yeah, the risk is high, but so is the reward. I mean, that's the reality of real estate and business. The higher your risk, the higher your reward. And the people who tend to do auctions, they're very skilled at it. They've been doing it for a long time. They have the scars to show for it. They have the systems, their plans. They know how to look at property. But even they will tell you that they've had challenges, right? And I think the beauty of real estate is the recognition that with success also comes some failures. I stick to the MLS. I am an MLS girl, but I'm also not somebody who's doing real estate at the multi-million level. I am a woman in corporate America who has a full-time job, who is using real estate as a long-term investment strategy. A lot of these strategies that I just shared with you on finding a deal tend to be more attractive to people who treat real estate as a business. And so that means they are learning a lot, they are putting systems in place. So there's a lot that goes into everything I just shared that is more than just a strategy on a piece of paper. So you understand how to research a market. You understand how to find the right deal. I just gave you sources, where you can go, and different ways that you can find the deals.
Before you go, follow me on my other platforms. On my business channel for career, business, and money strategies to build your corporate exit strategy. On my lifestyle and travel vlog for the real life behind the strategy. And on my podcast From Corporate to CEO for daily side business tips and motivation. But the real work happens in the community. This is where we support each other and build this together. Same values, same season, and same direction. I'll see you there.